Good morning, everyone. This case study I prepared with the help of one of my colleague, or you can say my friend. He was working with one audit firm, and deliberately I choose him because he can bring some insight from industry. This is a case study we are aiming to publish in some good journal, and it's not a basic kind of research. As you know, in AACSB we recently know that research is classified in three category: basic, applied, and instructional. So we are aiming that this is applied research. And in this BHS case, what we are trying to assess here, what was the major problem in BHS? Possibly you know BHS. Anybody knows BHS? Yes. In Bahrain city center, we have one big outlet of BHS. I am talking about the same one. This is British Home Stores. And recently, just 15 to 18 months back, there was a big problem in BHS. The BHS business was very, very slow and down, and it was sold to some new owner. And this case is addressing the governance issue of a small companies. If it is a publicly owned company, normally there are very sound corporate governance code, corporate governance rules, disclosure requirements are very high. But in this case, BHS is not a listed company right now. It was listed couple of years back, but when this Green Philip he bought this company, he delisted from stock exchange, from London Stock Exchange. So let me start by my presentation here with a small. So first, I am explaining you introduction. Introduction does not require too much like time because it's too much orthodox kind of stuff. My main intention is to address what was the failure in this BHS, what was the reasons, and to certain extent it was governance issue. To certain extent it was corporate governance along with the strategic failure. They were not changing their business model according to the change in the market requirement, digital way or some other ways. And as you know, in corporate governance, we have to disclose many informations to the general public, to different stakeholders, especially the shareholders. And because this was not a listed company in London Stock Exchange or any other stock exchange, so there was no regulatory requirement or governance requirement to disclose any of those stuff. There was no independent directors or some sort of disclosure. Even I was trying to dig lot of information of annual report of BHS. It's not very easily available. Now MPs of UK, they are investigating this case. So there are few cases, few informations are coming, but limited, not full financial statements. The major problem, what I am trying to address here, is that we don't need corporate governance only for public companies. Even we need the governance for privately held companies whose impact is wide range. If your employees, if you have a large number of employees, if you have your company have a impact on the society, you have to disclose, you have to be more responsible in your business. In BHS case, there are more than 20,000 pensioners who are a recipient of pension, and now there is a pension deficit of more than 500 million pound. And very recently, last week, this owner of this BHS, Green Philip, he agreed to pay around 350 million pound to pension regulations. So in this case, we can learn, we can teach this case to our student, and we can highlight the weakness of corporate governance, and we can highlight some weakness in regulations related to pension, related to companies. And this is in still in a working stage, so I have to collect lot of other information. And this limitation of this case study is that it is developed based on the publicly available information. And my colleague and me, we never did any audit kind of work or um, fraud examination sort of with this. So this is available based on the public informations. And this case study we can use in our auditing course, in accounting course, or possibly in corporate governance code, or even in business law. So this was my intention here, and I'm open to listen some questions from you, from audience. I want to interact more with you people. Okay. So this is a small introduction that this company was started in 1928, very old company. Sir Green Philip purchased this company in 2000, in 2000 for around 200 million pound, and they opened this company. They even did the franchise. They have a franchise in even in Middle East. And after the acquisition of BHS, this Green Philip was very, very smart, and he managed the company initially very, very smartly. And he applied lot of the recent management techniques like tight monitoring of inventory. He was trying to control the cost, and he was appointing new suppliers, and he improved the supply chain in this whole process. And most important here is it was a non-listed company. That was my intention to highlight more, because it was non-listed. So annual reports need no need to like disclose annual reports to general public. No corporate governance regulations. Even there was 20,000 pensioners, employees was there 20,000 around, more than 20,000, but there was no tight pension regulations, and these loopholes was beautifully exploited by Green Philip. And if you notice the second bullet point here, in around 4 years back, this BHS was losing very heavily, but still this BHS distributed the dividend of 400 million pound to Green Philip and Green Philip family. Company, on one hand, company is losing money, and they are distributing the dividends, and which was the major cause of the problem. The business was on the downfall, and they extracted the whole money, and they sold this company to some other guy for 1 pound and token amount. And this guy was a three-time bankrupt, and there was no control by the government or regulator or anyone. And this guy, he was interestingly three-time bankrupt, and with no retail experience. If you see, his name is Dominic Chappell. He was not having any retail experience. So these are, I'm trying to show the weakness in our regulation system. And this regulations not only prevailing in, weakness is not prevailing in the US, UK only, even in Bahrain, in other countries, other part of the world. Even recently from India, there is one case of Vijay Mallya of similar kind. And if you see the bullet point here, pension fund deficit was more than 571 pound, and pensioner was more than 20,000. And when this BHS was going on downfall, there was more than 11,000 employees in the BHS. So what I am trying to highlight here, that we should not fully focus on shareholders based theory on corporate governance. We should have a more broader view, stakeholders instead of shareholders. Even in our Bahrain, we have a corporate governance code. So possibly, and it is addressed to shareholders only, and it is applicable to public companies only, listed companies only. So possibly we should try to broaden the scope of corporate governance. It's a takeaway lesson for the policymakers. So these are some strategic issues which I have to improve further. My main intention is to highlight the pension regulation weakness and governance weaknesses here in this case study. These are all strategic issues, but my now I am trying to more focus on governance only, because strategic issues are already widespread in the newspaper. It's already like, so my focus mainly on to publish this kind of case study in Harvard Business Review or California Management Review, and it will be part of your applied research. When we are going for AACSB accreditation, it will be part of applied research. So thank you very much.